Hi, Austin. Hi,
Yes,
this is Mario. This is Mario from the Telegram channel. As I understand it, there with Austin and Vince. Is that correct?
that is correct. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
here. I'm here at the office in Malta, and Vince is in Detroit at his home office right now. So just catching up with the community.
Great. Okay. If you can you just tell me what it is you guys do um, uh, regarding Pura, just so
Sure,
that everyone knows.
sure. So I'm the CTO, and Vince is the entire brains around the development team, the lead developer, and in charge of anything related to complex code and revolutionary stuff. You're on mute, though, Mario.
Yeah, I was on mute just listening to you guys. Um, okay, so I've got a few questions here that the channel has been constantly asking, and I
Certainly.
thought I would take the initiative to actually write down all these questions and give them to you so that you guys can answer them in an audio format. Audio, I think it'll be better than you sitting down and typing one of your long messages again. It obviously leaves you guys more time to do the things you need to do, and I thought I'd be able to help out in that way. So if I ask you a few of the questions that the channel's been asking, is that okay with you?
Yeah, we'd love that.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, the first question that many people are asking is if there's an update with the wallet and why it seems to be delayed.
Sure, sure.
So if you could
I'll
tell
let
us where the wallet is right now.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll let Vince handle that one. Go ahead, Vince.
Okay, yeah. and thank you for taking the time, Mario. We appreciate that. Yeah, the
No
wallet
problem.
is the wallet's still in development from the perspective of we we have to have an exchange wallet, right? Obviously for a non-push to deploy function for that. So in our final but our beta testing, we found a few issues that we deemed it necessary to do some to take a second look at and put that back into you know some another software engineering cycle to harden any issues that we may have been experiencing. As you know, with development, especially when we're innovating, new technologies, namely the push to deploy master node system and trying to take the extra legwork out of someone setting it up and having to have the extra technical experience or seeking that to set it up. We figured it was going to be easier to address these problems now. They came up now instead of trying to deal with them later after we release the wallet. So it allowed us we didn't want any issues once a wallets hit the market, and especially at the exchange level. We felt it necessary to protect all of the all of everybody's hard earned money and investment in Pura. So
Yeah,
protecting.
and to be clear, this was a security protocol issue, Mario. This has nothing to do with the functionality of the wallet. The wallet, as you know, has been completed for quite some time.
Oh yeah.
Doing the second build, without getting into the details of it, it had to do with a potential, not an exploitable, but a potential exploit on the security side that could potentially be exploited through the exchange side of things, which sounds a little crazy. But we had a third-party security audit firm come in. This firm has actually helped quite a few of the coins that are on the top 20 before they do their final releases to show any sort of exploitation that might exist within the code base itself. So effectively, after it was built and we were going back and forth with some of the exchanges, this was one of the final things that we did. And we really felt the need to tighten it up a bit, and it is really with everybody's best interest in mind.
And Marios, in short, we're as a dev team here, and in conjunction with discussing it with everyone else in PURA, the releasing any type of code that is not 100% within our standards and our comfort level. It wouldn't have, we felt it wouldn't have been in the best interest to have to go back and patch anything later. It's easier to take care of it now, and it also gave us a chance to do a few cool innovative things that'll help lend itself well for future expansion. So
yeah, and to be clear on that, the development work has not stopped at all, because we're basically at the mercy right now of the security audit firm. We've continued to develop in the interim, and a lot of the things that are going to happen, once the exchange wallet is finalized in the security protocol, will include some updates that otherwise wouldn't have been included in the Aurora update. So there's some other really neat things that are happening there that the community will get to see as soon as we're past this sort of final hurdle.
Okay, really, is there anything that you can maybe give us a hint on, or anything that they can expect that they're not aware of already?
I'll let you talk there, man, just in terms of what's happened in the past couple of weeks, and the development on the processing side and things like that.
absolutely, yeah, we've in doing what we do best in developing and making sure that the products is out there, and giving top notch code. We found some areas that are going to be interesting, and a few things we're looking at, and I don't want to go too far forward in the timeline, but we still have our network-wide AI implementation that's being. We've got, anytime anything's going on. Let me step back for a second. Anytime anything's going on, with development within the PURA project here, there's never a day that goes by, or it's full time, including most weekends, that we're not innovating stuff in the back end, and we're doing stuff within a lab environment, right? To where we're testing new products and features that we can put up for, do we want to present those to the community? We first want to take and have have our lab environment to where we can take and breadboard everything out and test it and make sure it's really it's network ready, and that's where we're at. So out of this, again, I reiterate, is come quite a few new exciting things, like to speak to the common node, a section of it, or part of it, that unto itself is pretty cool, because it's going to allow people with 1,000 PURA to just go out there and basically stake themselves in, right? Once they're eligible for staking, they can, it brings that to the front. With the master nodes, we were able to take and when we, and again, it's fully tested, and we had in our test net was deployed, is working and running. However, we've, again, as Austin and I said, we've taken the time to do any necessary modifications that need to be done, and during that time, we've come up with some good stuff, and looking forward to like being able to take it into the market and offer it to merchants is our goal. Hopefully for Q1 of 2019, but in the interim, we're going to have a few things coming out that the community is going to be, they're going to be satisfied with or happy. We feel.
Okay, great. Sounds great. Now, as I understand it, and as the community understands it, the master node will be as simple as opening the wallet, pressing the button effectively to run a masternode. As simple as that. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So that's something I can speak to with great confidence. It's in essence, they're gonna the user experience is gonna be there. They come in, they open their wallet, they're eligible, right? They're notified they're eligible, and they can take and deploy the masternode simply by clicking the button, basically their masternode button. They can within obviously it doesn't happen instantly. There's a process in the back end. We have to set it up in a back end and on a cloud, right? So that they get queued up. We verify that that's actually going on, and within I believe now we're trying to cut the time down, but within less than 24 hours that they start receiving. And I think it may be it's as long as it takes to we queue them up, right, and then launch them. So.
Yeah, to be clear though, this is not a manual process. This is basically the only delay that's in effect has to do with the VPS deployment and
Yes.
making sure that all of the inventory of VPS that we have are totally available. And to those people that are going to be listening to this later, that are network specialists, they understand the period of time that it takes to actually spool up a server. So we're saying 24 hours. In actuality, that number is probably quite a bit less.
Oh yeah.
In the scheme of things.
Yes.
But to be safe, it's definitely.
No, the rewards. I'm speaking to the rewards. The reward side of it. That's when they start receiving the. And I'll for the auto deployment, it deploys automatically. There's nothing they don't have to go. There's no going back in the back end. They don't have to. If they'd like to, they can still deploy the traditional method. They're welcome to if they have their own host that they prefer. They're more than welcome to do that. However, with this, it's just quite simply they push it, it deploys, and they're not responsible for they're not even responsible for the hosting. Yeah, the hosting is being absorbed. So.
Yeah, we take care of that. And then also the notification system is pretty interesting in that anybody that maybe hasn't ever run a masternode before doesn't know, what it is or how it works. The moment
I can tell you running a masternode is a nightmare right now.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, all of us have been there, right? I can tell you myself personally, I probably have 20 different masternode coins that are available. Every other wallet crashes every other day. I have to restart the VPNs all the time, or the VPSs all the time, and go through the entire thing. This is very, very clean because it's built in on a core level, which is completely different than anything that's ever been developed before. So I think it's very unique. And then again, back to the notification feature, someone who's not so savvy with it will literally just receive a notification from within the wallet that says you qualify for a common node, you qualify for a master node. Would you like to start receiving those rewards, yes or no? And then they push the button. And this is definitely leading us into some very exciting other things because of the way that this was coded. Is not done virtually, right? It's built into the core independently, which makes it something that could potentially be duplicatable.
Well, that's great. I mean, look, it sounds like it's got great potential. And it certainly is going to make things a lot easier for the common person once it's released. But that does, from what I understand, has caused a problem with the exchanges, right? Because there was this whole legal issue potentially as to the tokens that are on the exchange and whether the exchanges would be running master nodes and so on and so forth. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but that I think is the reason why the exchanges have been delayed. Is that correct? Or
yeah, so originally when it was put over, we weren't going to do an independent version for exchanges. We were just going to use the regular version of the wallet, which is traditional. I mean, they still get command prompt level stuff. But at the end of the day, we were contacted by one of the exchanges, and they literally said in their jurisdiction that there's a potential legal issue that would exist between the financial regulatory authorities that they have to deal with. And it's not something that we had ever really considered innately, but when they said that they would love to push the button, but they could potentially be penalized for pushing the button, we said, well, we didn't ever want you guys to push the button. And we don't think that it's fair, you know, for an exchange to potentially profit off of the liquidity that's not theirs, right? It's the liquidity of the community that happen to be keeping their coins there instead of in the wallet. So it was a very interesting sort of ethical question, you know, that came up at that point. On one hand, some of the larger exchanges that we're dealing with thought it was a really, really interesting thing, and they were asking us to keep it. But the one that brought this up, we felt so strongly about the ability of larger exchanges not to be able to do this, and potentially another thing you have to consider is that you could potentially disrupt the market book of an exchange if you allowed them to push masternodes out with other people's coins, meaning they're pulling, you know, potential stop loss orders and things like that off of their order book, or they could be, right? Virtually, when you look at it, you're not seeing it that way because they still exist. But in the event that there's a run on the market and people start coming in and buying a tremendous amount of PURA, they would not have the independent resources internally, and there's no automatic system that would exist on their end that would prevent you know, that run from happening, at which time those coins would be locked up. And they would be locked up in a masternode that doesn't belong to the exchange, right? Those coins are not the exchange's coins. And if somebody wanted to take advantage of that, you can only imagine, right? If there was a massive event that came in, and that market book was spread thin only because they didn't have the coins sitting there, right? They would be sitting somewhere else. And that's not, we didn't think that that was fair. And we didn't think that that was a, you know, in the mindset of PURA or anything else. So we decided to come up with the secondary version with cooperation with one of the other exchanges.
So secondary version. So how do you intend to resolve that issue with the exchanges?
So again, it's done, right? We have.
What exactly are you guys going to be doing?
Yes, we've built an independent version that's specific for exchanges. This is the one that was audited that we were talking about before, that had the potential, you know, malicious exploit that could happen. And without getting into detail of it, effectively what could theoretically happen is someone on the exchange side would be able to see certain addresses that would exist on their end. And again, it would open it up for potential DDoS attacks and other things like that that could disrupt the network. So we didn't want to take the risk. First and foremost, from a security standpoint, for disrupting network, you know, protocol, and secondly, obviously, of potentially changing the supply that's out there and also giving the exchanges rewards that technically don't belong to them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Vince.
Yeah, it's the delays caused by not being willing to release irresponsible, you know, a code that would possibly be, you know, irresponsible to release if you know, it's we don't want to release anything that we're not 100% sure of. Period. That's it. The innovations, everything that needs to be done, the push to deploy, all that stuff's real. It's done. It works, right? What we're dealing with is just the final, you know, the final approach that has to be done with, you know, in a stately manner, and you know, that's, you know, that's it. And we're you know, to sort of take away, you know, from this, in development, we want the wallet to be less of a focal point so the community is not just waiting for a wallet, right? And we want to give them something that they can grab onto. The masternode push to deploy, one of the biggest complaints that people have is they can't figure it out, right? And even a common node or a staking style, for a community, it builds a lot more, again ease of function for it, but we feel that at this point no one's doing it, right? And no one's offering it. They have master nodes. People are going out there and they're saying, okay, we have master nodes. It's great, and they may have great concepts, but there's got two schools of thought on that, and then you get the people who just keep releasing wallets. We don't want to be a wallet releasing, on a wallet release schedule. We want to be on something that's a true function to the community, something they can use, something that's of value. So we want to see the wallet sort of become a part of a function of a greater service, right? And greater features, rather than just the focal point of where we're going, right? Because there has to be functions around the wallet, right? So we're talking about merchants, right? We're talking about other aspects that the token can be used for too as well, and also allowing a fair shake at people who don't have that technical knowledge to deploy a master node, or deploy, if they got 1,000 PURA, they can now, from the front of their first they open up the wallet, they can click it and start receiving rewards literally right away. And when I say there's the delay, right now, we go back to the thing. It's as soon as that server spins up, you start receiving rewards. That's when you receive them. So I like to say 24 hours, because if there's an issue and it's a support issue and someone needs it, it'll be provided. Right, and it's although the system's completely automated, and we're having good results with it. We want to let the community know that not only are we developing it, but we're supporting it too, right? Yeah. And this is it's real. There's not any of the delays that they see. There's no smoke and mirrors. It's just when we go to test, we go to beta test, or sometimes that's why they call it a smoke test. So, if we weren't running into problems, we wouldn't be developing, right? So,
to be clear, right? This has never been done before, right? No one has ever successfully figured this out. And when we looked at the potential opportunity in the beginning and what it meant to community members to be able to do it, we've done about a 90-day analysis of all of the other masternode coins that are out there, and the results that we got back from independent audits of, we take, for example, the top 500 addresses of any large masternode coin that were out there, and we'd cross-reference them with, how many of those had active deployed masternodes. Both by going through the Explorer, and then also just talking directly to the coins, because we have some really, really great relationships, obviously, with a lot of those people. The numbers are staggering, to be honest with you. Some of the largest coins that are out there that have masternode capabilities, stuff like Dash and things like that are on the market. Our estimates came back with anywhere between 70 up to 85% of the wallet addresses that could potentially deploy a masternode have never done it. And think about what that does, to the overall supply chain when you offer that up to anybody, as easy as pushing a button. I mean, we've all deployed masternodes independently before. It's scary, to be honest with you. When I do it with a new coin, you never know what's going to happen, and the amount of times that they crash, and you have to update the servers and make sure that your current version of this, that, and the other core code is running the proper way, is exhausting. But we really feel that what we've put together here, starting with PURA, to be honest, because this could potentially turn into some other things. We'll get to that in a moment. But starting here, this has the potential to disrupt the supply chain market in crypto, for a very long time.
So from what I'm understanding here, from what you're saying, is that because masternodes are currently so complicated to run, the ease that you just push a button would mean that many more coins would be locked up in masternodes, thus decreasing the available supply. In circulation equals increase in value of the token. Is that a fair summary?
Absolutely.
And Marios, it's not only that we're that's part of it. It's and
that's the part that the community wants to hear.
That's the part of the community wants.
The technical part.
Right. No, but it's more than that. We're hoping to build the utilization of the coin too. That means that if there's more adoption in that point, we feel that there's going to be more utilization. We're developing the products, right? And we have to keep the community in mind. Again, we take this seriously. This is PURA is a family. It's not just a concept. It's we develop stuff within here, and if there's something that we feel is gonna take a little more time, to come out with, we feel that it's in the best interest of the community, which is really what PURA is. We're driven by the community. And our responsibility as developers is to make sure that the community is receiving they're satisfied with what we're doing here. And again, we're developing stuff. We're not just we're developing. We're definitely developing products here and looking to the future, and whatever we can bring to the table in the lines of technology and innovation to the block we want to do, and if we can pioneer that here within the within our group and our think tank over here, and we're excited about the potential that could be there for for the future of PURA, and that's why we're here doing it. I mean, there's every day we come in excited every day here. There's nothing, even though we there's some schedules we're ahead of on things, some schedules we sometimes get behind on. Like we know that every day something new is going to come out of it, right? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of exciting stuff, man, and stuff that I want to talk about that I'll have to sort of let off talk to. So yeah, no, I said yeah, I don't.
Well, I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's Mario. I know you had a few more questions, so just fire them out and let's get them done. I don't think anyone wants to listen to a 5-minute interview on Telegram.
And this is great. I'm glad you guys brought up community, and because that's been one of the biggest issues I believe on the channel. Is there has been a distinct lack of support on the channel, i.e., not many admins. When there are admins on the channel, they don't seem to be very helpful. And you guys talk about community. It sounds like you guys have got a great hold on the technical aspects, and I'm very excited to see all that. But when it comes to the actual handling of the channel, for example, so the other side, which you guys spoke about, the marketing, it's not there. It's a bit, I would say, it's below par right now. Yeah. Have you got any plans?
Absolutely.
To fix that?
No, absolutely. We have 2 new community managers that have already been trained and ready to go. And the initial plan was to push them out the moment that the Aurora release came out. On top of that, we're also going to be planning weekly meetups on the channel itself, similar to what we're doing right now, kind of an AMA style with Vince, myself, and quite a few other members of the dev team. To get into some of the more technical stuff that people might have questions on once everything goes out there. The only real reason it hasn't happened is because we've been so focused on getting Aurora, totally finished through the security process. But yeah, what I can say to the community is we're sorry that we've not been communicating like grown-ups But the reason that we haven't is because we've been so knee deep in the code audit and everything else, making sure that it's running, that even if we did jump in, we would just say, guys, we're working, we'll let you know as soon as it's done. I know that sounds a bit irresponsible, but we had to push it off for development reasons. And once this is finished, you'll see some new faces in there. People that are going to be a lot more active with questions and everything else, providing more updates. And yeah, that'll definitely be taken care of.
Do you know approximately when this is expected to happen?
The moment that the third-party auditing firm finished the security audit. So that's the quick answer, right? In the meantime, I'm happy because we're kind of sitting on our hands right now waiting for that to happen. I'm happy to jump in myself before they start and answer some more questions. I know I get along with the community well. I have no issues, answering anything that they have. But yeah, myself, I'm not going to be taking a back seat in the community. I'll always be there. But there will be some new people coming in very soon that will be providing a lot of updates. And there's a tremendous amount of stuff that we do here in Malta, outside of, working on development and everything else. I mean, we're in meetings every day with other blockchain projects, with exchanges, with everything else that's going on here. Talking about new implementations, new partnerships, all of that. So we really do need, some people that are in there really full time responding to these things. As happy as I would, to be in front of Telegram all day long, we do have quite a few very important things that meetings and whatnot that we have to do throughout the week that inhibit us from to be there.
Okay, I believe we've got about 5 minutes left. So just one last thing then, just for now, could you clear up exactly what the relationship between PURA and Avalon Life is? Because I think there's a lot of confusion as to what PURA is, what Avalon Life is. Is it the same thing? Is there anything you can shed any light on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Avalon, great company. They were, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they were almost, very much so responsible for the upticks in Dash and the upticks in the NEM network and everything else throughout the network that they have. They've got about 200,000 members worldwide that are plugged into the products that they have and everything else. So, originally, the reason that PURA and Avalon started working together is because we effectively shared this sort of environmental incentive vision. So Avalon has the Green Earth Project as an example, which is 8.6 million square meters worth of rainforest that they're protecting in Costa Rica, and things like that really just plugged in really well. They're great guys. But between the two, PURA has nothing to do with Avalon outside of a payment means, in order for the Avalon network to use it for what they use it for. They have other means that have been there in the past. They do Dash, obviously, and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I mean, we still work with them on quite a lot of other incentives that they're working on. They're always, I mean, those guys are all over the world working on really interesting things all the time. So I talk to them on a regular basis. We talk about, potential other, internal development that we can do with PURA to help them out. But at the end of the day, no, they're on their own thing. And I think you did have another question about the listing that they're doing and everything else. My understanding on that was that it was pulling them away from kind of the decentral concepts that they love and enjoy to the point where it was feeling very institutional, and that was one of the reasons that kind of got sidetracked. I don't know what the current update is with that, although I've talked to them about what happens with that deal. But at the end of the day, no. I mean, we'll always support them because they've always supported us. And ultimately, yeah, they're independent parties, but we do talk on a very regular basis.
So this might be a bit of a cheeky question, but can we expect Avalon to grow the PURA value as they did for the NEM and the Dash coins?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that something that's
I mean,
on their focus?
I think that is, I mean, that is definitely on their plate for sure. You know, the community is large. I will say this though, independently, that what we're doing right now with PURA, and we're getting ready to start a new thing, and I'll close out with this because we've got about a minute left until the meeting ends. We're working on a new incentive that we're calling a new protocol, if you will, that we're calling PURA Labs. And the idea with PURA Labs is that we're going to be able to take a lot of the technology that we're developing and license it out to other crypto and blockchain companies that are out there, all the way down to some of the code base that's been developed for push to deploy. What that's going to turn into is, you know, code that gets used regularly on other coins and other projects that benefits the PURA community and benefits the PURA price substantially. I can't talk any more about that today, but at some point in the future, we'll discuss that a bit further. So, and with that said, I see the timer here. We've got about 30 seconds left, so we have to wrap it up, gentlemen.
Okay. Great, guys, that's great. Thank you. And maybe we can make this like a bi-monthly thing, or maybe a monthly thing where I accumulate all the questions of the channel and I relay them to you like this, if that's good with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're happy to do it.
Welcome it. Yeah, it was we had a blast.
But on that, great. On that note, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks. I'm sure this is going to go some ways to helping the community to see what's going on.
No,
thank you very much.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for your time.
The community too.